Welcome to Mommy Making Millions, the podcast. I'm your hostess, Marquitta mompreneur mentor, author, and visionary strategist. I help mompreneurs develop balance between their businesses and their babies while attaining generational wealth, simply taking their ideas and helping them to turn it into profitable income. Join me bi-weekly as I put the spotlight on other successful millionaire mompreneurs for them to also share their best business practices and truly unveil what it looks like from the glamorous life to the deep, dark, nitty-gritty life of a mompreneur. Welcome back, Mommy Millionaires. Whew, y'all, we are back. We are back. This is episode 3 of Mommy Making Millions, the podcast. I cannot believe we are already on our 3rd episode. I really feel like we should probably be on episode 5 already by now, but we're not going to talk about all the unforeseen circumstances that I've been battling behind the scene. But the focus is here. I'm here. I'm here to show up anytime something changes behind the scene. I just make sure that I continue to pivot along the way. I'm definitely still new to this podcast. Thank y'all for the love that y'all been given, the shares, the likes, the screenshots, just responding to some of the polls. I see y'all out there, Mommy Millionaires. I see y'all listening. I am checking the analytics because I'm like, are they listening to this thing or am I just talking? Like, what is it? Y'all are actually listening. So I'm gonna just try to keep it real with y'all as much as I can. I'm thankful for our guests that we have that are coming on. Usually, if you hear me sporadically on an episode by myself, that probably means that there was potentially a scheduling issue with one of our mommy millionaires, and or I like to make sure that I don't want y'all feeling like the people that you're talking to on this podcast are so far-fetched that you can't relate to them or you can't track what they're talking about because they've already hit that mark in their career. So I want to bring balance to this podcast and I want to make sure that I'm hearing from each and every one of you. So if you have a mommy millionaire, a future mommy millionaire, or a mommy millionaire in the making, let's talk about that. Tag them in the podcast, send me their information, and let's get them on the show. All right. I am depending on y'all, mommy community. I am depending on you wholeheartedly to just continue to support because if we don't support one another, then honestly, like who will? I am just like so focused and I have like tunnel vision for just kind of like what's next in this next season of my life because it's so needed and it's so necessary. And we're going to be just talking about vision today, the power of it, the value of it, um, some things to identify. So I just want to take the opportunity just to say welcome. And for those that don't know me, yes, I am Marquitta Johnson, but I go by Marquitta Deshay, mompreneur, mentor, motivational speaker, CEO, author, founder of House of Divas Boutique. That's me. Fashionist. I can go on and on and on and on, but I help mompreneurs strategically structure, strategize, and sustain profitable businesses through pretty much building systems, processes, turning their ideas into income. And I teach them how to do this in style. So I'm so excited to be back, just kind of telling my truth. I think this podcast is more therapeutic than anything for me, but I wanted to make sure that it is, it's giving what it's supposed to give for you as well. So I couldn't help it but to notice as a visionary strategist, I was watching Kanye's West trilogy on Netflix. Have y'all seen that? Like, I will be honest with y'all. Like, I've always been a fan of Kanye's. Kanye got lost somewhere. I'm not really sure where, and I don't really want to take the podcast there. Um, but I'm gonna start doing these podcasts live too, by the way. If we can get 100 subscribers and 100 subscribers, and on this by the 10th episode, I am going to start doing the podcast live and on YouTube so that y'all can see me, because I feel like I want to interact with y'all, and I just think it's a thing right now that I want to do. So I'm getting things set up behind the scene. But if we can get 100 subscribers before or by the 10th episode, which I know we can do, right? Just share this episode, then I'm going to start going live with the post. So with the podcast. But so yeah, back to Kanye. So I've always been a Kanye fan, and I've understood his story, but not from an entrepreneurial lens, right? And when you watch the episode one, I think episode one was entitled Vision. And I didn't realize that it was entitled Vision until after I looked at the episode. And let me tell you, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are someone who's ever dreamed, if you are anyone that's ever had a vision, a goal, if you've been someone that's been manifesting your dreams, your hard work, your dedication, if you can literally close your eyes and just simply imagine the things that God has said that you can have in this season, and then picture yourself as that girl, as that woman, as that mompreneur, as that future mommy millionaire, and start showing up as her daily. Let's just be all the way real, y'all. Let's just keep it all the way real, right? Let's keep it all the way real. It's hard out here sometimes for us. Like, I can't stop thinking about hustle and flow. It's hard out here for a pimp. It's hard out here for a mompreneur when you're trying to get that money for the rent. Okay. Uh Kanye was just so determined um by what he visioned in episode one. And I never knew that he fought so hard. Like, I knew he was a producer. I knew no one respected him. I knew he had to do extra to be respected as a rapper. But I never understood the fight behind the scene and the vision that he had for just his future. And just watching it, if you have not saw it, if you watch nothing else, at least watch episode one. And y'all, this hit me in my gut, okay? Kanye saw a vision that nobody else but him saw. Him, God, and maybe his mom, Donda. That was it. Him, God, and Donda. That's all who saw his vision. And that's all Kanye needed to see. He didn't need nobody else to see his vision because he believed in himself more than anybody else. And when people doubted him, Kanye didn't get uncomfortable. Kanye didn't get moved or began to feel self-limiting beliefs or doubt. Kanye found every possibility there was. He found every reroute to the route of success. He found every U-turn. He found every alley. He found every back way. Kanye did what was possible and what was necessary to take him to the next level. He saw his vision more than anybody else. He believed in his vision. And because he believed, he continued to go with what God had shown him. And so let me tell you, the episode today is called Vision. And you have to have vision as an entrepreneur, as a mompreneur. You have to have vision anytime you are trying to release greatness. You have to have vision anytime you're trying to go to that next level within your career, within your life. Even if you're trying to buy a house, for example, many people will tell you that they visioned their house before they actually even saw it, or the moment they walked into their house, they just knew it was the one. You have to understand what your visions are. You have to understand that they are possible. Like, you're not out here crazy, girl. It's real out here, but God has given you this vision for a reason. So to whom much is given, much is required. It's not going to be easy. He never said it was going to be easy, right? God never said that this was going to be easy. He just said the weapons formed against you not going to prosper. That's all he said. But he's also going to give you the provision for the vision. So let's talk about perspective, right? Perspective on how you see your vision is everything. Now, I live out in Chicago suburbs. I grew up in Chicago suburbs. I left Chicago when I was about 16, 17, moved to Houston. 2017, I moved back to the state of Illinois, Chicago suburbs. And so I am um, from the Chicagoland area. Parents grew up in Robert Taylor Projects. And I will tell you, y'all, when I first moved back here, it was hard for me. It was really hard. I was still trying to go to school. I still was boutique trapping. I had, I was still a mom, still trying to find my way back. And I remember days that I had to walk to the train station. I had to walk probably 15 minutes to and from work because that's just the Chicago life. Sometimes some people that sounds like, oh man, she was walking. Yeah, but if you live in Chicago, sometimes you might have to take that train and you might have like a 10, 15-minute walk, especially if you're walking down and working downtown. So it's not necessarily uncommon. I used to park at the train station, but what happened, y'all, is my car had broke down. I'm finna just be real. So I had to take a 15-minute walk in the afternoon. Thankfully, it was summertime. And I imagine so many things. Walking, it is said statistic wise to help your memory, right? Jogging your memory. And when I was walking, a lot of times I would just think about I would escape the actual ability to just know that I was actually operating in the presence that I was in. So I would think and just imagine crazy things. Like I would imagine giving my TED Talks that's has yet to manifest. I would imagine doing things like talking on this podcast or going live or just connecting with my audience or just my future self. So going back to Kanye, he said something on episode 1 and he said he didn't even own a car yet. I didn't even own a car yet, right? Because we got to be careful of our words. However, I was practicing my Grammy speech walking to the train station. If there was not a mic drop right there for me, if there was not a revelation right there for me, if that was not just listen, if you are someone that has a vision, if you're visioning, manifesting, if you are just truly serious about operating in your greatness and operating in the gift that God has given you, and these visions and this views that we're talking about, like only you can understand this, like only a real entrepreneur who's ever put seed in the ground, who's ever worked hard for something, who's ever tried and felt like they've been a failure, know truly what I'm talking about. And so my first point of this podcast that I couldn't help but to kind of identify was just being realistic and identifying and saying perspective is everything. He's walking to the train station. He's thinking about his Grammy speech. He's not even in the moment of that he's walking because it's not about where he is. It's about where he's going. We have to stay focused about where we're going in this next season. Because if you focus on where you currently are, where you are right now is in a season of transition. There has to be movement in transition. You cannot stay the same. You cannot expect the same tests and trials to come at you the same way. Things are going to come at you way harder, way stronger. And you have to understand the perspective and the viewpoint and the lens that you have toward your success, which is going to articulate the thoughts that you have toward your success, which is then going to create the actions to help you build your success. So a man thinketh, so is he, right? Faith is the evidence of things not seen, hoped for, right? So Kanye's in this accident, still trying to get his album off. He done went through all this turmoil. And now his jaw is pretty much wired shut, right? And he has no budget for his film. And he has this camera guy, Cootie, walking around with him, and who's crazy enough to believe in his vision right with him, right? And he's shooting a lot of behind the scenes in his first video. He puts together a listening party. And who shows up? The main person who he's been trying to get the attention of, Dame Dash, comes through. And when he releases this song through the wire, you know, it's he gets in the car with Chicago comedian, I can't think of his name. And the guy's like, "Oh, you gonna do a video?" He's like, "Yeah, we're recording a video right now." He like, "You recording the video right now?" Kanye's perspective and his view on what was happening to him, he turned it into treasure. He turned his tragic and his trial, and he turned it into he turned it into he used everything that life had gave him. Nothing would stop him. And so if you go back and you look at this video, you see these clips of pictures of just clips of him around town recording his process. He's at the dentist when he's getting his wires off of his mouth. He's in, just movement. He's in a season of transition. But his perspective is, I'm going to be successful. His perspective is, I know what I have is dope. I know that I'm special. I know that I can do this. I know that I'm the hottest thing. Like, I don't give a damn if I'm rapping up against Jay-Z. I'm making his beats. Like, really, to me, that's the mindset he had. And he had every right to. And that's just like you and another with another business owner or another CEO operating in the same field, or just even being around other entrepreneurs that you feel less than thou, right? Sometimes we get around people and we feel like because other people have more than us or they've accomplished a certain level of success or we are just getting started, we are not um we don't feel like we're supposed to be there. We don't feel that we meet the requirements for being at the table, and that's bullcrap. It doesn't matter what your resume looks like, right? You have to know who you are, who God has called you to be, and you have to stand on God's words, God's promises, and you better show up in that thing everywhere you go and have the confidence and the Godfidence that you are the shit. I had to say it like that, y'all. I hope I had to say it like that. That I had to say it. I couldn't say it no other way. So your perspective is everything when you're focused on building wealth, when you're focused on building legacy, because it's not about where you're at, it's about where you're going. And if you can focus on where you're going, distractions will come, but you will be able to navigate them through smoother because you can identify what the roadblocks ahead look like. I'm in a transitional season right now, and I felt like for a little while I wanted to cry. I felt like for a little while, God, that I was moving backwards, right? I felt like I was moving backwards. I'm not gonna lie to you. But the funny thing about it is there is no straight pathway to success. And when you think about a car, you have drive and you have reverse. You can reverse, right? Fix some things, patch some things, and put that thing back in drive, make a couple U-turns, and go on. It doesn't mean that you're a failure. It doesn't mean that what God has for you is still not coming or has not already been set in motion for you. So if you give up, if you look at things from a carnal vision, if you look at things from a perspective of I'm not getting anywhere, I'm a failure, nobody's listening to me, nobody's buying my products or services, I don't have the money. If you start setting self-limiting beliefs and doubts into and then incorporating fear into your own beliefs, then your perspective about who you are called to be will shift. But if you wake up every morning and you feel like no weapon formed against me shall prosper, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am loved. I have peace. I am abundant. You start speaking your affirmations to yourself. I am above and not beneath. I am a lender and not a borrower. If you start speaking, number one, God's word back to him. And then number two, if you just start speaking those words of affirmation, I am whole. I am healed. I am healthy. I am, I am. What are you? What are you believing about yourself? So your perspective on your next phase has to match your beliefs. And your beliefs are going to begin to match your actions. And until you change your perspective, you're never going to identify what the purpose is in the lessons that God has given you. So I had a lot of lessons that I had to learn along the way. But I will say, with changing my perspective, I was able to see more of my purpose. It's just like God giving you another test. You failed it, you didn't get it. Let me give it to you again. Let me reroute you again. So your perspective, start looking at the lessons of everything that's happening. Start writing down, start identifying truly how can you look at your circumstances more positive? How can you change the trajectory of the thoughts in the perspective of how you see yourself? How can you believe who God is calling you to be in this season? Okay. So, point two I want to talk about is just appreciating the process. When you are in a season of shifting and you're in a season of transition, you have to know that it's going to get uncomfortable. It's going to get real. You might be down to your last. But I will say, if you can identify and learn to appreciate the process, it's going to help you build character. It's going to help you build the stones, the stepping stones to your success. And appreciating the process will allow you to get through tough times better because you're going to be able to identify, this is temporary. Right now, this is temporary. I know what's coming. I know what's coming. This is temporary. Let me document this process. It's so many women, you look at their then versus now. Take a picture of a moment where you're struggling, or something that you have going on behind the scenes. Like if you're a baker and you're baking out of your kitchen and you didn't really have all of the supplies. If you're a boutique CEO and you're shipping stuff out of your closet, share that process. Like you might not be ready to share that process now, but coming down the line, you want to be able to look back and reflect and understand what that truly meant. Because until you identify and appreciate the process, you're never going to be able to truly appreciate the success. Success is sweet, but it's only sweet once you went through the process. And that's what makes it sweet, is the ability to endure, the ability not to give up. That's why you have to give yourself time to grow, room to breathe. You have to take moments where you are able to just say, you know what, I'm just going to pause. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to pause right here. I'm going to step back. I'm going to journal. I'm going to read, because right now, mentally, I am just kind of like overwhelmed. And it's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay to feel stressed out. It's okay to feel like, I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. That's the time when you feel like you need to have a break. Take a break. Momcation, staycation. I'll talk about my mini mom, mommy moment in just a few, but these are the times where you have to incorporate that self-care and that self-love, and you have to be able to pull back from working so hard and just being a perfectionist, because sometimes things are never going to be absolutely perfect. And so you have to identify just your growth at every level. Identify what you have grown, to identify as what is at this point. What have you done that was you've accomplished, even if it's so small? Self-care is important in this season because it allows you to reconnect with who you are. I always turn on a sermon anytime I'm feeling stressed or overwhelmed, or if I'm feeling like my bank account ain't matching what God is telling me to do, or anytime I'm feeling like I wanted a contract and it just didn't happen the way that I had hoped. But you cannot give up the first time that doubt kicks in, or the first time your plan did not work. You can't give up. It's not for you to give up. Just continue to focus on the process, appreciate the process, change your perspective about what's happening. Look at the analytics and go right back to the drawing board, but give yourself time. I just came off of a 3-day break a couple weeks ago because, I'm just a hard worker. And sometimes I don't give myself time to mentally rest. Some of us aren't mentally resting. You just sitting in the car for about 20 minutes, just sitting there trying to just mentally shift from one phase, wearing one hat to the next. That's not really allowing yourself to just mentally think, right? This is why self-care again is important. Go to the nail shop, get a facial, get a massage, take the time to just Think about nothing, right? Have you ever heard of that? Think about nothing, right? So number three, we're going to talk about is identifying the shift of transition, the phase of leveling up. I think this is really like my favorite, right? I think this is my favorite. So I am moving out of my current showroom. My lease is up there. Um, and I am in the shift of moving. And so even before my lease was up, God was showing me bigger, better. In that season and in that moment, you have to realize that when you're transitioning, that you have to let go of a few things so that there's room for new things. I can't keep holding on to things that I've outgrown. It's time to give it to someone else. It's time to bless someone else. It's time to throw some stuff away. Some of us are holding on to just junk. God is trying to give us new things and level us up, but we're still trying to hold on with our lives to the levels that we're already on. There's a shift of transitioning that's happening in your life right now. So allow the shift to happen. Allow this transition because when you're in a season of transition, you're passing. You're going from one level to the next, one phase to the next. It's like a butterfly. You aren't meant to stay where you currently are. You are meant to evolve. You will not stay in the same season your entire life. That's just like the seasons. We have four of them. The world is ever changing. And in order for us to move throughout those seasons, there has to be transformation. There has to be a process that people don't see. It's a lot that goes on behind the scene, nature wise, especially in the winter. There are things that are dying off. And then in the spring, what I love about spring so much is there's this freshness that's associated with spring. There's this dying off of old things and this rebirth and build out of such new fresh creative thoughts and it's just endless possibilities of that next level. So leveling up in this season and identifying that, going back to step two with just appreciating the process, you have to identify what your season of change looks like. Because if you look at your season of change like you're losing out, you will never see the actual transitioning happen. And because of that, you'll never appreciate the process. And because of that, you'll never have the perspective to identify that this change has to occur. Your vision, your mindset, your beliefs all have to identify with what's happening. If you are between blessings, your mind has to identify that you're not broke, you're between blessings. Okay. Your bank account is negative, but you're just waiting on your millions. You don't have a job right now, but you're waiting on the contracts to be signed. You have to change how you see things. You have to change the way you think about things. You have to appreciate the process. You have to identify the shift of transition, the phase of leveling up. You have to know the level that you're operating on isn't final. It's only final if you decide to give up. This is not the time, y'all, to give up. This is the time to go hard in the paint. I'm always talking about basketball, yes, in the paint. This is a time for y'all not to give up. This is a time for you to join communities, get with like-minded women, get your prayer journal out, get your devotional daily journal out, get your prayer Bible out, get on those prayer calls, get up each morning and pray over your business and over your family and over your life. This is a time to truly hone in and say what God has for me, I can have, and wake up every day and be that person and be consistent and understand that this level that you're on, the season of transition, it is necessary. It's happening. Y'all, it's happening. We are on the road to millionaire. I can't wait till y'all come back and listen to this episode years from now. And I won't even really say years from now, because I am going to be a millionaire before the end of 2022. Boom. I said it. I got seed in the ground. I'm praying over that thing. So right now, my transition that I'm going through, it looks like a cakewalk. It really doesn't look like a cakewalk, but it does look like a cakewalk. Because God is so much bigger. He's a supplier of all my needs. And I'm doing the work. And I can see if I'm just saying, God, you're just gonna supply all my needs. But I'm not doing the work. That's the difference. I got seed in the ground. Some of y'all got seed in the ground. So believe it, y'all. Believe it. You got this. Let me hear you say it. I got this. Say it. You're in your car, wherever you are, you're on your desk, you're at the job. I got this. All right. So, next step is believe in your vision. Don't settle. Give yourself room to grow. Okay. Think about your business in the next 3 to 5 years, where you see yourself. So start setting yourself up, right? How long are you giving yourself to actually be successful? How long are you actually giving yourself um, to be successful? Think about long term, think longevity, but then also think about your short term goals. If you have failed in any area of accomplishing, don't settle there. If you have succeeded, don't settle there. But I want you to know that God isn't done with what you got going on, sis. He waiting on you to continue to just show up. Just keep showing up, even on days you don't feel like it. You have to know that the vision that you see, the vision that Kanye saw, the vision that Donda saw, the vision that God gave for you, the vision that you can't sleep at night, you tossing and turning, is so much bigger. So if God has given it to you, he's going to make sure that he gives you the provision for it. And you have to know that it is so much bigger than Marquitta. It's so much bigger than you and your business. It is so much bigger. I know that I don't talk about motivational speaking a lot because I never looked at myself as a motivational speaker. And then at one point, I thought that motivational speaking was just kind of, everybody was just kind of doing it. But the more I learn, the more I tap into my ministry of just being here and allowing Mommy Making Millions to be a brand for mompreneurs out there that I'm trying to help them to get to building generational wealth, excuse me. I have to identify that I have to be honest that motivational speaking is a part of my legacy. That's why I said the TED Talk hasn't happened yet. Because the truth is, we all need to be motivated on days where we're feeling like we just don't have anyone. And that was my story. I just really felt like I didn't have people sometimes. So just being able to offer a word of encouragement is bigger than just me saying, you can do this. No, you can really do this. There's people out here doing it. We doing it. It's happening, right? We got to keep saying that it's happening. So believe in your vision, even if nobody else see it. I always talk about that. Believe in your vision. Go hard for it, even if nobody else see it. You don't need anybody else to see it. Protect your vision, protect your mindset, protect your thoughts, protect your assumptions, protect your perspective, protect your process, and appreciate the process. Identify the shift that's happening. Don't settle and give yourself time to grow. That's what this episode is all about. You are it, girl. Your vision has value to it. Your name holds weight. You just have to tap into that next season. And your next season, honestly, I feel is now. I had a shirt that says we up next, and then the next is like crossed out and it says now. We up now. You up now. There is no next. Next is now. Somebody somewhere, please tag me at Marquitta Deshay and say my next is now. So for the next 60 days, I want you to say that to yourself. Post it on a post-it and say, my next is now. What are you visioning for yourself? Close your eyes, imagine, think about your business, think about your services, think about your family, think about your legacy. And don't think that you're thinking too big. Like I be telling people my dreams all the time. They be looking at me crazy. I be like, oh, well, I'm sorry that you're looking at me crazy because I know what I've seen for myself. He's so much bigger. right? God is so much bigger and he can do it. So don't give him um, the benefit of the doubt. No, put your faith in him, trust him. I was on a prayer call yesterday, and one of the ladies said the ability to trust God even when you're not tracking him. Oh, that's so good. Do you have the ability to trust God even when you can't see what he has working for your good behind the scenes? Do you have the ability to really just trust God in this next season, even though it doesn't seem like he's nowhere to be found, or even though it seems like right now you can't identify what he has going on? Can you trust him? That's so good. So, my mini mommy moment for this episode, y'all, I was in the mirror crying. I ain't even gonna lie. That was my mini mommy moment. I was in the mirror crying at my showroom on Saturday, like was which a couple of days ago, because I had to get that cry out, y'all. It was an old ugly cry too. Like I had just boo-hooed something serious for about 2 minutes. Then I wiped my face off and I was like, all right, game time, bitches. And I was just talking about God. I'm sorry, but that's my thought. I have to be real with y'all. Okay, that's just me. Um, but yeah, so I know I looked in the mirror in our reality. I looked in the mirror and I appreciated the tears. I appreciated the journey. I appreciated all of my shortcomings. I appreciated just feeling like sometimes I'm overwhelmed with just getting through the process, because right, you can appreciate the process. That doesn't mean you're not overwhelmed by it. So I had to cry because emotionally I wanted to just let that feeling, let that emotion out. But then I changed my perspective and I was just kind of like, all right, I'm good now. Right? I'm good now. Because, we're so strong for our loved ones. We're so strong for our children, and we're always everybody else's therapist. But then when it comes to us, sometimes we just have to have those mini mommy moments where we just kind of get back into, with who we are, get back in tune with synergizing, or just being able to identify, all right, like, let me put me back in position. Let me put my head back on the swivel or get it off the swivel. So I had my little tears. It was about 2 minutes. And I felt so much better. Like, I'm not even gonna kid you. I felt so much better. And the day went by so much smoother. I don't know why I was crying. I felt like I failed at my showroom, but the truth is I didn't fail at anything. My release is technically up there. Were there things that I wanted to do that did not get done or accomplished there? Sure, there was. But that doesn't make me a failure, right? There are going to be some things that you don't accomplish, while there are going to be other things that you do accomplish, but that doesn't make you a failure. So we're rebuilding. I'm in the process of building something greater. And when you're in the process of building something greater, remember you have to let the level that you're operating on go. So I had to let that level that I was operating on go because I saw the picture bigger, that I don't even own that building, y'all. I'm crying over something I don't own. What if? Could it be? I love when Sarah Jakes Roberts says that. Could it be that God is getting ready to bless me tremendously? Oh, I almost gave y'all the big secret. Oh, I almost gave y'all the big secret. I can't do that just now. But could it be God is getting ready to really build yourself up for so much bigger? Right? All right, so we're going to end off this podcast. Last thing I'm going to talk about is shout out to Tiffany Marie, at Tiffany Marie. She has given me these beautiful affirmation cards, and I read 3 of them each morning. I don't know why I do 3. I just do 3 each morning. They're so cute. And I was sitting here pulling them as we were doing a podcast, and I want to read to them what they say. I am a priority. I meet each day with a peaceful mind and a grateful heart. I have learned from the past and I live in the present. Isn't that so good, y'all? Isn't that like right on time with what we're talking about today? I am a priority, right? Self-care. I meet each day with a peaceful mind and a grateful heart, right? Trust in the process. Didn't I just talk about that? I have learned from the past and I live in the present. believing in your vision. Don't settle. Give yourself time to grow. Identify the shift of transition and understanding the phases of leveling up. Appreciate your process. Your perspective is everything, mommy millionaires. Until next time, y'all go out and do something like you've never seen it done before. Your vision, your mission, your values. You up now, sis. You're not next.